And we are live. What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And today's show is brought to you by MyBookie and iShaker. Make sure to use promo code Off the Ball at checkout for these two great products. So today's show is a special show. I got a special guest with me today, the face of Knicks Nation, the man, the franchise, CP from KnicksFanTV. What's going on, my brother?
Oh man, all is well, man. We are on the brink of another Knicks season, and the fan base is just electric right now, man. So coming off the heels of a 4-0 preseason, I'm looking forward to it, man. Glad to be here, man.
Undefeated, never lost
Yeah,
preseason. It
yeah,
is, it is a feeling that there's a buzz around the city. Like I was in the city just a few days ago. And you just feel it. Everyone's looking at you. Everyone sees you. Everyone gives you that nod. You're wearing the Knicks hat.
yeah.
Every Knicks attire, they give you that nod. It's just the buzz, and it's just preseason, which is crazy. Like I don't know if there's another team out there that's getting the buzz right now. That feeling in just preseason, right? The Garden's electric. Everyone I hear that's been to the Garden in these 4 preseason games has been electric. So for you, just what's the energy like right now? What are you feeling? Obviously, you're dialed in. You're one of the faces of the Knicks and all that. Want to be in one of the top creators. So what's how you feeling? What's the buzz like?
Yo,
It's crazy right now. I can't even explain it.
It's crazy right now, man, and you feel it on the show every night.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And things obviously are carrying over from last year with a magical season going into the playoffs and surprising the league with the 4th seed, the Atlanta series, game 2 spilling out onto 7th Avenue and the pandemonium that ensued after that. And then obviously we lost the series. We lost it badly and took a little break. Everybody took a little break, but then some from the draft on, summer league, our summer league attendance was through the roof. You felt that energy even then, the enthusiasm around the new draft picks. Then free agency came in, and now the preseason, you just feel it, man. Everybody is very, very enthused about this team, and I haven't felt that energy since 2012, honestly, going into a season.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
CP.
It's been a
It's
while,
been a
man.
while. So let me reel it back a little bit. Let's go back. Obviously everyone knows who you are. What you do for the Knicks and all that. So what was the origin of Knicks Fan TV? When did that first come about? And how did you attack it? Did you ever think this would ever even get to this level too?
Yeah. So, I'm from my generation, grew up on Mike and the Mad Dog.
Yep.
That was it. That was the start of sports radio here in New York. And as a kid, I would always listen to them and going back and forth and the arguments. And you could feel that passion just through the airwaves. The fans would call in and, they would celebrate a victory or they would lament over a loss and just go back and forth with the host. So sports radio had always been ingrained in the everything that I did in life. You wake up to it, you go to sleep to it, you go to work to it, you listen to it all day. So that was part of my fandom in rooting for all my New York teams, was going to the airwaves and hearing what the fans had to say. So I was always passionate about that as a fan. And then I saw where the Premier League teams, soccer, they were doing it very well in terms of that fan-based media. Arsenal Fan TV was a big inspiration to my channel. And so I saw that and I thought we could do this for New York sports, for the Knicks in particular, because to me, I'll say it to this day, there's no other fan base in the NBA like ours. And you're seeing it right now, the preseason electricity in Madison Square Garden. No other team is experiencing that. We're not even a championship team, and no other team is experiencing that. So that energy, I knew that, if I could replicate what I'm seeing here in the digital age, in the video format, I think I could, have something going. Now, conceptually, it's there, but it's a very difficult thing to do on a day-to-day basis in building yourself up. And growing your platform and growing your fan base is a very, very difficult thing to do. Consistency is key. So I started in June of 2017. I just grabbed my phone and went out to MSG. This was the the draft where we ended up with Frank. But before that, there was rumblings that Phil was ready to trade Porzingis. So there was some stuff I could, get some people, get some comments on. And I just went out there and just started talking to the fans and interviewing the fans and, getting fan reactions to the Frank pickup, who, the fans weren't too happy about that. So you were able to capture a range of emotions. And then I just threw it up on YouTube. And from there, just kept iterating and kept changing the style, changing the format until it was something that was close to what I grew up on, which was sports radio, but for the video and the digital age.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun, seeing your rise and all that. I've been a fan for a long time. I've called in a few times and even had the pleasure to even be on your show, the Draft Night, and I appreciate you having me on there. And that was a lot of fun experience, and that and the call-ins and all that. Was there ever a point where you were like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing? Like, because it's tough, man, doing all this stuff. I mean, just being in the field too, like it's tough. And sometimes you have your days where you're like, man, like, is this gonna work and all that? Did you have those moments where you were like, oh man, this is harder than I even thought?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, think about it. We went through that Fizdale season with 17 wins.
and you started at a time where it was. I mean, it was as down as possible being a Knicks fan and just everyone just coming at us left and right.
Yeah, it's dead. And so, you're going through those games, you're like, damn, I don't know if I could do this another day. But when you keep seeing the energy and you keep feeling that enthusiasm from people who are like you, and they're calling in, and they're calling from all over the country. And once we opened up the phone lines, you call from all around the world.
Yeah, man, you worldwide.
And it's like, it became bigger than the team, just in terms of the community aspect of it, and people sharing that same passion as you. And so that was really the driving force to keep going and keep it consistent, because, like I said, you could feel it even when the team wasn't doing well. You know what I mean? So that kind of gave you that idea that what you're doing is working. Now, every day is not peachy. As you do this and as you stay consistent at it, you learn, right? You learn what's good, what's bad. Your audience provide you feedback. Hey, this was trash. Hey, bring this back. You gotta tap in and just listen to them. So you always have to iterate as you go and learn as you go. That's very important.
True, very true. Definitely gotta learn and listen to your base, man. You gotta listen to your base. So obviously 2019. Not to go back in time, but 2019 was a bad time, right? The offseason didn't go well and all that. And isn't it crazy that we come full circle now, and like that kind of like at one moment, at one time, it was the worst moment. Maybe as being a Knicks fan, right? It was a dark time, and now it's like, wait, that was maybe the best thing to have happened to this franchise, all that happening, because now it's like you can't rely on trying to get that big fish. It's like, no, you got to do it the old natural way. And it's like, what was your thoughts about 2019 and now looking at 2021 and like seeing the development? Because like I mentioned in 2019, that was bad. CP, it was a bad time, the draft, not going our way, not getting the number one pick, right? It's fine. And then like you just hearing the rumbling, oh, you're not going to get KD. Like it went from being a lock to not, and now looking like we were laughing stock. Oh, we got Julius Randle, and now it's like, so just in these two plus years, like a lot has changed, and where it looked bad, and now it's looking like, wait, the Knicks were the Knicks onto something. Like, just talk to me about these last few years and just like the whirlwind of emotions.
So I look at it from two perspectives. From a content creator's perspective, the Zion hype and the KD hype. I'm like, wow, like if this happens, this channel is going through the moon. You know what I mean? On a straight up north trajectory. Like, we're gonna take off. And then when it didn't happen, I'm like, damn, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know what we're gonna do, man. But from a content perspective, people were locked in even when we didn't get KD. Getting Julius and Ellington and Portis, those were big episodes when we were covering that. So that's again that those signals that what you're doing is on point. But as a fan, I felt like the whole 2019 thing, the hype around it was once again the summer of LeBron, and I went through that, and I was heartbroken when we didn't get him because all the hype was, the Knicks are right there, the Knicks are right there. He's doing the decision in Greenwich, right behind the Knicks practice facility. So, the hype around that just had me, so locked in, and I was so disappointed when it didn't happen. Even more disappointed when he went to the Heat, and then the KD thing, similar. You're hearing for the whole season how much of a lock this is. I'm speaking to beat reporters personally who's saying, I'm speaking to players. They're telling me this is happening. So I'm
95, like Stephen A. Smith, 95%
95%.
chance. Rick Bucher saying, "Yup." Chris Haynes, who's covering the Warriors and all that, is like, yeah, he's going to the Knicks. It's a sealed, delivered. Like it was happening. So like, of course we're gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna get KD. Like, of course. So it was definitely a tough. That was a tough season. Then like Julius Randle, like we get Julius Randle. It's like we know he's a good player, but it's like when you're expected to get a Lamborghini and then you downgrade a few notches, it's like, okay, like it hurt, damn, like it hurt.
Especially when we got rid of Porzingis, and at that point I was still tight that we got rid of him, and we gambled and lost basically because KD and the second max contract didn't come here. But after that, I just felt like I was tired of seeing them just put all the chips in the middle, waiting for a guy, waiting for the savior, waiting for this guy, this free agent, or they're going to have cap space for this free agent. I wanted to see them build a team piece by piece, brick by brick through the draft, through free agency, through trades. And even though, getting Julius and all them, it didn't work out that first year, you're starting to see now things are turning around. They bring in Leon Rose. Scott Perry gets maintained. He trades Mook. They get the draft pick, turns into quickly. They draft RJ in that time, and they draft Obi. So you started to see the dominoes change, and obviously with the signing of Tibbs, Tibbs flipped this whole thing around. So I think the most important thing that we've been seeing over since Fizdale got out of here and Mills got out of here is a real culture and a real foundation that's being established. And it's starting from the top, from Leon, that whole crew, that whole clique, Tibbs, who's in that group, Julius, who's buying into them, and then the players are all following his lead, man. The chemistry is unbelievable with this team.
Yeah, and like you said, it starts with the top, right? The great franchise, the San Antonios, the Golden States, where does it start? It starts from the top, and
Miami.
Miami and all that. In Miami, you always hear culture, right? And sometimes that word gets thrown out a lot, but what this Knicks team is doing a very, very Miami-like, where they're building that culture. And I know it's just preseason, right? And we can overreact to preseason. I try not to overreact to preseason, but the like you said, the energy and all that just in these preseason is just absolutely insane. And like then we have the offseason and the draft and all that, and I feel like they made a lot of great moves this offseason, right? They stayed put for the most part, broke by like a lot of their guys, extended Julius Randle, had a good draft. So for you overall, how do you feel about this Knicks offseason?
Well, going into it, I didn't think that the free agency class was all that great.
No,
I really didn't think this was going to be a good free agency class. I didn't think we had a shot at the guys at the top. I didn't think we had a shot at Kawhi Leonard. Him going down with the ACL injury made things even worse, but I really didn't think we had a realistic shot at him. So there wasn't really any guy on that list where I was like, if we lose out on him, it's going to set us back, or it's a big loss for us. Lonzo would have been nice.
Yeah.
Some people were fans of DeRozan. I wasn't too high on him. The Lowry thing, would have been cool if he signed on a short-term deal. I thought that would have been okay, but bringing back Rose was, to me, the first priority, and they did that. And then, bringing back Burks, who's a guy that I liked, missed the fourth quarter for me last year, a bucket, an absolute bucket getter, 40% from three. And then, going with Fournier, bringing back Noel. I like what they did, because I had always been preaching over the years the fact that we need stability. We need consistency to build chemistry year over year, instead of having, half the team out and rotating new guys in and this guy out, this guy in. Let's bring it back. If you can bring it back, there's nothing wrong with that. we may not be building a championship team for this year, but you could really be building something where your young players are now developing around a nucleus of quality veterans. And that's why I felt like Derrick Rose's return was so important for us, so vital for us. He's one of the most important pieces of the team, not just on his play, but being an extension of Tibbs on the court. So, bringing him back to me was vital. Burks, I love the pickup. Noel, they took care of Noel. He stepped in Mitch's absence and played his heart out. He played his heart out, was elite shot blocker, excellent steal percentage, at the top of the league in steal percentage as well. Noel was great for us. And then boom, you finish off the offseason by getting a steal with what you got Kemba Walker for.
Absolute steal.
So I just felt like, they saw the fact that they were schooled by the Hawks, who had a ton of shot creators, and they felt like they needed that in themselves. It was like Thibodeau said in his press conference, it was more than just we need more than just 3-and-D players. We need guys that can create and that can play make, and bringing in Kemba, bringing in Fournier, keeping Rose, keeping Burks. I think that does that. So you brought Julius Randle some help.
Yes. And we definitely need, because the defense was, pretty much put Atlanta on lock for the most part of the series. It's just we couldn't score. Simple. They just put they double team Julius Randle, and they were like, all right, we'll have someone else try to beat you, and that's what they needed the most this offseason. And they added Evan Fournier. And I know people were kind of, on and off, iffy about the Evan Fournier signing, but hey, when he's on, that he can make, and he's a clutch shot maker too, which is another thing, right? And can create his own shot. And then getting Kemba for what we got him for, was a steal, absolute steal. And like you said, bring back Burks, who was good in the playoffs as well, and continuity. To me, that's continuity. Like you said, the constant change of this roster year in and year out. How are you supposed to build if it is constant change?
Right.
So bringing back, some people may think it's not sexy and all that, but bringing back Rose and Burks and Noel, I mean, that just brings back that core, that nucleus. And we've seen in preseason, we're seeing it. We're seeing everyone's gelling. This team is gelling. And that's what you want, to continue to build. And listen, it doesn't mean we're gonna win a championship, this season or whatever. But to bring back those guys, to have a shot to be getting back, being a top 6 seed, be in the playoffs. That's the road to improvement, the road to get back to where we want to get. So to me, I think they hit a home run. They've drafted well. They've drafted better. They had some misses obviously in previous. But I felt like this draft was pretty good. Like I said, we were on draft day, and I felt like they made a lot of great moves. Quentin Grimes, McBride in the second round. I mean, that might be the steal of the draft. I mean, getting him, because he was a first round talent.
Right.
And to get him that late, I mean, that's a huge.
You got drafted and stashed in Rokas. Well, we'll see what happens with him in the future. But I just feel like this front office, they're just very prepared. I think they have an excellent scouting staff led by Walt Perrin. They have Brock Aller, who's the capologist, and they're really, really bleeding the cap. They're really twisting and turning the numbers to work in their favor. I just feel like they're a united front, man, and they are willing. They have their targets, and they're willing to be aggressive to a certain point. Even last year they wanted Gordon Hayward. There was interest in Malik Beasley from the Timberwolves. They had liked those guys, but they weren't willing to overpay or go crazy for those guys. So it's not to say that they were sitting on their hands with a lot of these moves. Even in the draft, they wanted to move up for Duarte. They wanted to move up for Trey Murphy. You see how good of a preseason these guys are having. These guys are going to be solid role players for their teams, and maybe even more. So the Knicks wanted those guys, and you could see why. But after not getting them, they, went into plan B. Okay, move back. They saw Grimes. They have obviously Walt Perrin and Perry. They have Grimes on their board. They saw value there where they could move back, get him, and still acquire a draft pick. I don't see anything wrong with that. for right now. A lot of people were, lamenting over the opportunity cost. We didn't get this guy. We should have got this guy at 19. And look at the guy that went to the Hawks. Who's the guy from Duke?
Sure.
Jalen Johnson.
Oh, Jalen Johnson. Yeah.
They look at Jalen Johnson. They look at the guy we passed up on that Charlotte got from
Kai Jones.
Kai Jones.
Kai Jones, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how those guys play out before we say, we
it's years before we could judge that, that move. Exactly.
So I just felt like they have a discipline, they have a plan, and I'm gonna wait and see how it unfolds. But so far, so good.
Like you said, they have a plan. They have a plan B, a plan C, right? Where in years past, it felt like it had plan A, and then if plan A didn't work, it was like, what do we do?
Right.
So the draft, they didn't get Trey Murphy, they didn't get Duarte, and they didn't stay put and just force themselves to take a player that they didn't want. They got value. They traded down and said, like, okay, we have this tier right here. We're gonna trade down, get some more assets, right? And just keep building that way and not force ourselves to take a guy just because we're here at 19 and 21.
Right.
So just having a plan. It feels like they have a plan every time. If something doesn't go their way, all right, this free agent is not going to come here. Well, we got this plan, and that's what's I think what's got a lot the fan base feeling good is that they have a plan.
They have a plan. And, look at the Dame situation. Steve Mills maybe would have put all the pieces on the table right now with his job on the line to bring in Dame and win headlines. And in this organization, this regime is not about that. Yeah, I'm sure they'll listen. I'm sure they'll gauge what a price is and see if they can make it. But the headline move doesn't make sense with where we are right now. To part ways with all of your draft capital and all of your young core to bring a guy like a Dame Lillard here, it just doesn't make sense because you're still not winning the championship with Jesse and Julius Randle. So again, this approach, what they did in the offseason, to me was the right thing to do.
Yeah. And like I said, going back all the way to 2019, it might have been, a blessing in disguise that happening to us, because now, hey, you got to build the old natural way. Yep, build it old natural way and do it. And so far, things are definitely looking up, and we're not the LOL Knicks no more. We're not the laughing stock, even though everyone's waiting. They waiting. The minute if we start off bad, that's why I was talking to someone. They were like, "Who has the most what team can go off to a slow start?" I said the Knicks. Because if we go off to a 1-5 start, it's gonna go back to LOL Knicks. Well, last year was a fluke and all that. So hopefully we avoid that and all that. But who do you think's gonna be the breakout player for this team? We got a lot of young guys. Obviously, Obi, quickly last year. Obi had his ups and downs this year. He's looked phenomenal so far just this year, and just looks so more confident. So is there a guy you feel like is really gonna have a breakout season for this team?
I think it is Obi.
It's Obi.
Yeah, I think it is Obi, man. Just from what I'm seeing in the preseason, from Summer League on, you're just seeing a confident Obi. You're seeing a guy that things are starting to slow down for him and starting to click. He's just very, very alert on both ends of the ball, making quick decisions. He's not thinking out there. Last year, he was very much thinking on
robotic too. Very robotic when he was thinking.
Very stiff. Now he's just very fluid in everything. His defense's rotations are on point. Offensively, he's making quick moves, whether it's to the basket, he's making a quick pass, he's stepping into his three-point shot. I love what I'm seeing from Obi in this preseason. And even though, it may not come across, in double-digit points every night because he's not going to get those minutes, I think he's going to be a guy that is going to be able to notch stats in different categories, points, rebounds, couple assists. Last night against the Wizards in the preseason finale at 3 blocks, which is defense is going to be key. We saw Obi get a chance to be in that small ball lineup with Julius, and Tom Thibodeau was asked why we haven't seen that or haven't seen it a lot, or whether we would see it more this season. And he said we didn't see it last season because of the defense. He didn't like that. But he did say that Obi's gotten better. So I felt like he left that door open for, the possibility of them playing together. And we saw that last night when we needed offense. He went to that lineup and they delivered. So I think Obi's defensive progress is a reason why, in conjunction with his offense, I feel like he's going to be breakout.
I agree 100%. He's year one was I think we, going through the draft process and all that, and everyone assumed because he was an older player that he'd be NBA ready, right? And I thought that too. I thought he'd be ready to play. But
Me too. Me too.
like anyone, like a lot of kids, hey, some people, they develop faster, quicker, slower than most. So and it took him a while to figure out. And he definitely felt like as the season progressed and towards the end of the season, even in the playoffs, we saw that confidence growing. And now, like I said, summer league going into the preseason, he's looked like a completely different player, and that's like getting another draft pick essentially, for us. So that's going to be huge to see his development and all that. All right, so a few more things before I let you go. Appreciate you on the show. Julius Randle obviously was tremendous last season. I mean, we couldn't have. No one expected that. It was just, I know some people thought like he was going to get traded, like, because some of the body language saw preseason, a lot of interviews. I remember one particular, he wasn't even like looking at the camera. He was just down and he was just like, and it just felt like, all right, his time in New York, it might be coming up, had an up and down first year, but obviously he came in tremendous shape. They drafted Obi Toppin maybe to potentially replace him, and he balled out and all NBA second team, most improved. I mean, just a tremendous year, led the team to a 4th seed and got an extension and all that. Buzzer beater last night, which is absolutely tremendous. What do you expect from Julius Randle? Do you think he could replicate last season, or can he do all NBA second team is high honor and all that? Do you think he could replicate that? Because we're going to need him to be a big time player, for us to take that step.
Yeah, I think he'll have that type of impact. Will he have the similar numbers to last year? Maybe not, because I think there's going to be several nights with this team where the distribution is going to be spread across different guys. Rose is going to be able to help. RJ is going to chip in. Fournier is going to get his double digits. Kemba's going to get his double digits. So Julius may not come close to that 24, 10, and 6 average. But I think what we've seen in the preseason, and he's very much regular season ready, is that when things tighten up or when things slow down for the rest of the team, he's still a guy that you can go to get you a bucket, and I think that'll be his role. He's got to be able to trust his help, trust those other guys. But when we need him, can he deliver for us? And again, he made some tough shots yesterday, had a clutch 3, had the clutch fadeaway to win the game. Didn't make his free throws. Got to make those free throws in crunch time, obviously. But I still think he's going to be solid for us this season. Now, for me, it comes from in the playoffs. You hope that they don't, they're not a play-in team where they're forced to play the Nets or play the Bucks. You still hope that they can stay within that 4 to 6 range, maybe even 3 to 6 range, get into the playoffs, and then from there you want to see, okay, where is he? Where is he mentally? Because I thought a lot of what happened in that Hawks series was mentally, he just wasn't there. And then I want to see what are the adjustments that both he and Tibbs makes to get him easier shots, to get him in a flow where he's not just forced into tough mid-range shots. Yeah. Because in that Hawks series, McMillan basically said, these were the shots that he was making during the regular season, and we'll live with it. Everyone else, we're going to shut that down. And so, they forced him into the similar, shot diet that he took during the regular season, but a lot of times it wasn't falling. Yeah. A lot of times it wasn't falling. And so playoffs is really where he's going to be under the microscope. But for the regular season, I think he's going to be have an outstanding year for us.
Yeah. What's an overachieving season for the Knicks, and what's an underachieving season for the Knicks?
Yeah. Overachieving, I'd say 3 seed. 55 wins, close to that, battling, with the Bucks, with the Nets for 2 and maybe even 1. But I think overachieving would be 3. Underachieving, I would say 7, 8. You know,
Except
7, 8 playing. I think that will be underachieving. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of teams in the East that have improved. Chicago's gotten a lot better. I think the Hornets are going to have something to say. LaMelo is such a beast, and what he brings to that team, and Rozier and Hayward and what's my guy from UConn's name? I would have loved to have gotten him. Book Knight
Book
on that team.
Yeah, man.
Miles Bridges. I like that Charlotte team, man. They're a young, scrappy team. I like the Pacers under Carlisle. You know, with Sabonis and Duarte, and
if they're healthy, they could be good.
If they're healthy, they could be good. You know, Brogdon, and we'll see where LeVert is at health wise. But you know, I think the Pacers could be sneaky. What happens with Boston? A lot of people like Boston. I don't really see it. You know, I don't really see Boston being that better than us. I don't see them being better than us. But a lot of people have Boston up there. Miami's vastly improved. I think defensively they're going to give us fits again. You know, with the additions of Lowry and PJ Tucker, I think Miami's going to be very tough again. And so the East is going to be a dogfight, no doubt. I think there's going to be a lot of parity after that. You know, you put the Bucks, and I think you still have to put the Nets without Kyrie. Even without Kyrie, you still got to put them in that top tier. But after that, 3 through 8 could fluctuate. Now, Ben Simmons is coming back to Philly. I think Philly has to, if he comes back and he stays, Philly's going to be in that top tier. So say 4 through 8, you're going to have a lot of parity there. You know what I mean? But I think underachieving would be like 7, 8, you know, playing tournament and then getting, you know, probably swept out of the first round. I definitely wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah, and the division is tough. I mean, even still got Toronto. You know, they still you know Fred VanVleet and company. You know, Pascal, OG.
Scotty Barnes is gonna be a star, boy. Yeah. Scotty Barnes is gonna be a two-way superstar, man. He's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, and they always find that mold of player, right? With OG, Pascal, had Kawhi. Kawhi was that type. Yeah, OG's on his way. I mean, he continues the progression as an offensive player. He's already a, you know, all NBA type defender. I mean, Toronto might, you know, that rebuild might not be as long as, you know, most
they're going to be scrappy. They're going to be
scrappy and all that. But last thing before I let you go, I appreciate you once again for hopping on the show, CP. You know, it's been a pleasure. All-time starting 5 Knicks. Go.
All right, all-time starting 5. I'm only going to go with the ones I've seen.
Yes. You know we don't have to go back to the you know the back in the days.
Clyde. That's still my guy. All-time legend.
Modern day. We'll do modern day. Modern day starting 5.
At the 5, I'm going easy. That's Patrick.
Of course,
very easy. You know what I mean? At the 4, I'm going to cheat and go Melo.
Okay,
one of my
favorite
players of all time. Favorite players of all time. Didn't work out as well here, but you got to respect him. Melo. I hope he makes that top 75. Small forward, I'm going Anthony Mason. Another one of my all-time favorite Knicks. Could guard 3s, 4s, and 5s. Could run the point for you. Just super, super versatile. And in today's NBA, I think he would be a fantastic player. I think he'd be an all-star caliber player as he once was with the Miami Heat. So at the 3, I'm going with Mason. Rest in peace. At the 2, I'm going H2O, Allen Houston. One of the best shooters we had on this team.
Smoothest jumper, man.
Smoothest
jumper in the game.
You know, Warrior. I can't really say Warrior. Well, no, I mean, I am going to say Warrior. Even though he had the knee surgery and people always blame him for the contract. He was mentally, he was built for New York, even though he was a kid from the South.
Yep.
You know,
Tennessee, when I went to Tennessee.
Yeah,
right?
Houston was still you know, steadfast. He was still mentally strong. He was still mentally tough. Physically, he can't help that. Physically, can't help that. And people blame him for the $100 million contract. I understand that. But mentally, Houston was always prepared. He always came to play. He played hard every night, and the jumper was there. So I'm going Houston at the 2. And then number 1, I'm going with the hand check king, Derrick Harper, man. One of my favorite Knicks. One of my favorite Knick interviews, stand-up guy, but just tough as tough can be. And even though he wasn't here for that long, I thought Harper was such a big figure for that 94 team, man. Tough as nails, a floor general in every sense of the way, a true point guard, and defensively, just as tough as they come, man. That Derrick Harper, I'm going with that. So you get a little bit of defense. You get some excellent shooting with Melo, with Allen Houston, with Patrick Ewing. You got a lot of offense. And then you get some defense with Harper, with Mason, who could guard multiple positions, and then Patrick, who also came into the league with a defensive reputation. So
Yep.
it's a well balanced. I think that's a well balanced five, man.
That's a very balanced five. You can go with that, and you can win a lot of ball games with that. So can't
like
go
that
wrong
five.
with that. Can't go wrong with that. All right, dream guest. One last one. Let's sneak one in. Your dream guest.
Patrick. Patrick is the white whale, man. Patrick is the white whale. So working on it, and hopefully, come to fruition maybe this year. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We got Spike. Spike was on that list.
Yes, that was great. That was great.
Yeah, we got Spike off the list this summer, man, and it was a fun interview. Had a lot of fun with Spike during that interview. So hopefully we'll get Patrick on next. But that's definitely the dream guest from a Knicks, ecosphere standpoint.
Yes, that would be so dope. That would be so. But on that note, CP, man, I appreciate you giving me your time. This is a pleasure. So thank you for coming on the Off the Ball podcast. Really appreciate this, brother.
Yeah, man. Anytime, Chris. Continue the great work, and looking forward to the next one.
Yes, sir. So you have anything coming up? Let the people know where they can find you on social media and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sure. So youtube.com/KnicksFanTV, also KnicksFanTV.com. Sunday, we'll be doing our preseason awards and just giving our final thoughts for the season. And then Wednesday, man, Knicks home opener versus the Celtics at MSG. We'll be doing a live show from Mustang Harry's in New York City. So stay tuned on KnicksFanTV.com for the live show, which should start around 5 p.m. Eastern. And then again, we'll be live from MSG during the pregame, halftime, postgame outside, and then once again postgame live. We'll have our guys there and taking calls from the fans. So action-packed day on Wednesday as well.
Yes, sir. Can't wait for that, man. Continue success with everything, brother, man. You've been killing it. Like like I said before, one of the faces of Knicks Nation and all that. So, like I said, once again, appreciate you for coming on. I'm Chris LeBron, Off the Ball Pod. You can follow me on Instagram, Off the Ball Pod, Twitter, Off the Ball Pod, all that good stuff. I'll post the podcast that'll drop Monday. If you missed a live show, but on that note, that's CP the Fanchise. Knicks Fan TV. I'm Chris LeBron, Off the Ball Pod. Be well, be safe, take care, and let's go Knicks.